Resistance of the established order. 3 years before the cross, Jesus had come to Jerusalem for the Passover accompanied by his apostles. This was the first time in the Jewish capital since he had begun his public ministry. By the end of April, opposition to Jesus among the Pharisees and Sadducees had become so pronounced that the Master and his apostles decided to leave Jerusalem. They moved south, working in the area of Bethlehem and Hebron. The entire month of May was spent in personal pastoral work among the people of the surrounding villages. There was no public preaching on this trip. They went from house to house and visited many people. While the apostles were teaching the gospel and visiting the sick, Jesus visited the Nazarenes in Engedi. John the Baptist had lived here for a long time. Their ancient leader was Abner, and he welcomed Jesus with open arms. Some of the brotherhood of the Nazarenes came to believe in Jesus, but the majority of these eccentric men refused to accept him as a teacher sent from heaven. Jesus' message was so different from their attempts to reach God. Jesus spoke of believing, while these pious Nazarenes sought God in methods such as fasting or abstinence. This sojourn in southern Judea was a restful, fruitful period of labor. Many people came to believe in the kingdom. Because they spread out and no large groups of people moved with them, the superiors of the Jews thought that the unrest of the past Passover had been a storm in a glass of water. As of June, there was little concern around the temple in Jerusalem for the new kingdom. So it was safe for Jesus and his apostles to return to Jerusalem to teach and encourage the believers there. Jesus and the apostles stayed near Jerusalem throughout the month of June. They were careful not to teach in public. They lived in tents, which they stored in a shady park called the Garden of Gethsemane. This park was on the western slope of the Mount of Olives. They spent the Sabbath weekends at Bethany with Lazarus and his sisters. Jesus only went inside the walls of Jerusalem a few times, but a large number of interested people who wanted to ask him questions came to see him. When the rulers of the Jews learned that Jesus had returned to Jerusalem, they made preparations to imprison him. However, when they saw that he was not preaching in public, they concluded that he was no longer a danger and decided to allow him to continue his teaching in this inconspicuous way, without bothering him further. Thus everything went quietly until at the end of June a member of the Sanhedrin openly became a follower of the teachings of Jesus. This man's name was Simon, and he openly testified against the rulers of the Jews. Immediately the established power felt threatened and plans were made to imprison Jesus. However, Jesus was warned, upon which he decided to leave Judea and retreat to Samaria.